Welcome to Sunday School.
We hope you have a great time with us this morning.
Hello everyone, welcome to Sunday School. I'm Fran and today we'll be doing the second part of our mini-series about Daniel and his friends. These were young men who used to live in Jerusalem, but then their country was attacked by King Nebuchadnezzar. He took them back to his own country and they lived in the court and became his servants. But because they trusted God and they were reliable servants, they gradually became more important in the palace. And last Sunday School, David told us about Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego, and God rescued them from the fiery furnace. This week we're going to have a think about Daniel himself. Now, this particular story in Daniel's life is a bit later on. King Nebuchadnezzar was no longer king, and instead there was another king called King Darius. But Daniel was about to have just as an exciting time as Shadrach, Meshach and Abednego had.
Stories of the Bible. Daniel in the Lion's Den. This is Daniel.
Oh, hey!
Who was a Jewish man who was taken to Babylon when he was very young.
Yeah.
Daniel loved God and followed God's rules. He talked to God 3 times a day and asked God for help often. Daniel served in the Babylonian king's court for many years
Yeah, I know him.
and under many kings.
Hey, Daniel.
Daniel always proved himself to be more capable than all the other court officials.
Thanks. Well, anytime.
Daniel was serving under King Darius, and because of his great abilities, the king made plans to place him in charge of the entire empire.
Wow, okay.
The other court officials searched for some fault in Daniel, but they couldn't find anything wrong with him. He was faithful, responsible, and completely trustworthy.
Wait.
The court officials realized the only way to get at Daniel would be to challenge his faith.
Come on.
So they went to King Darius
Excuse me, Your Majesty.
and advised him to make a law that for the next 30 days, any person who prays to anyone except King Darius will be thrown into the lion's den.
I like it.
King Darius signed this law, and once a Babylonian king signed a law, it could not be overruled. When Daniel learned of this law, he went home and knelt down, as he always did, to pray in his room with the windows open towards Jerusalem. He prayed 3 times a day, just as he always had done, giving thanks to God and asking for his help. The officials went to Daniel's house and found him praying.
Gotcha.
They went to the king and reminded him of the law.
I remember.
Well,
Then they said that Daniel had been found praying to God 3 times a day.
What?
When the king heard this, he was very upset,
Get over here.
and he spent the whole day trying to think of a way to save Daniel.
wait, what?
By that evening, the court officials came back to the king and reminded him that no law signed by the Babylonian king could be overruled. So at last, the king gave orders for Daniel to be thrown into the lion's den. The king said to him, "May your God, who you serve faithfully, rescue you." Then the lion's den was sealed shut with Daniel inside. The king spent the night fasting and couldn't sleep. Then very early in the morning, the king hurried to the lion's den. He called out,
Hey, Daniel.
"Was your God able to rescue you from the lions?" And Daniel answered, "Long live the king! My God sent his angel to shut the lions' mouths so that they would not hurt me, for I have been found innocent in his sight." The king was overjoyed and ordered that Daniel be taken out of the lion's den. Then the king ordered the men who had schemed against Daniel to be thrown into the lion's den as punishment. Daniel was safe. there was not a scratch on him, for he trusted in God.
Wasn't Daniel brave? He was prepared to be thrown into the lion's den rather than stop praying to God in his usual way. And God looked after him, and the lions didn't hurt him at all. Sometimes we have to face frightening things. Fortunately, usually not as bad as being thrown into a lion's den. Have a think now about the sort of things that make you feel frightened. Perhaps it's if somebody laughs at you, maybe because of something you believe. Perhaps it's when you're frightened, or you're worried about somebody that you know. And at these times that you could maybe call your lion moments, you can pray and ask God to help you. Here's a sort of prayer you could say. Dear God, thank you that you were with Daniel and that you rescued him from the lion's den. Help me now when I'm frightened to be brave and to be depend on you. And Lord, please look after me. So perhaps remember that prayer the next time something frightening happens. I've got an idea now to make a lion to help you remember to depend on God in those lion moments. Hi, it is me again, but you can just see my hands, not my head, and that's because I'm going to show you a lion that you can make at home. So you'll be able to hear me speaking, but you won't be able to see my face. Maybe that's a good thing. What you need is a square, and it has to be exactly square, so you might need to get an adult to help you. A square piece of paper or very thin card, ideally yellow, but it doesn't have to be yellow. It's okay if it's white, you can always colour it yellow yourself. So this is to make the lion, and I'll show you what to do. So first of all, you have to mark where the centre of the square is, and the easiest way to do that is to fold the paper in half exactly, so the edge is touching like that, and then do it the other way so it's folded over so the other corners and edges are touching. And where you folded it, you get sort of cross. So when you have the cross, then you turn it one way up, and then you bring the points, each in turn, into the middle, where the centre is, like that. So you go around doing that with all four sides. And the next corner into the middle, and the next corner into the middle. When you've done that, so they all meet in the middle, turn it over. Then you do the same thing again with these corners. So you bring this one into the middle, like that. Then the next one, the next one, and then the last one into the middle. Like that. When you've got the two sides folded over, then just fold the square in half, squash it down, open it up, and do the same again. That's to make it easier to bend. Then you can put your fingers into the flaps on the flappy side, and you should be able to move your fingers backwards and forwards. But we're going to make it open and shut like a lion's mouth. So the top two bits here I'm going to glue together, And the bottom two bits there I'm going to glue together, so they come together and they come together. So I'll show you again when I've stuck the top and the bottom of the lion together to make a mouth. So you'll then need to make the edges more curved, so you want to cut off the pointy bits on the corners and make it round at the edge, so that it's sort of smooth, like you imagine a lion's mane being round. And if you cut it round there, cut it all the way around on each corner, it's nice and smooth, ready to make your mane. And then go into the edges of it, and you want to cut in not right to the edge because there's the lion's face in the middle, but about halfway between the edge here and the pointy bit there, and just make some cuts. Again, get an adult to help you if you find this difficult. Try not to cut any bits of cardboard off, just make lots of cuts all the way round. And so this is going to be your lion's mane. In a minute we're going to colour in the bit that's the mouth with some red for a tongue, and I'm also going to stick on some sticky eyes, or you can just draw the eyes on, but if you've got any wobbly eyes, I'll show you wobbly eyes like that, they're quite fun. So with my lion here, to stick it on some wobbly eyes, I've already put some glue on these to save time. Yeah, and push the eyes up a bit. It's almost a cross-eyed lion. And you can put a nose in the middle, maybe some whiskers, just draw those on, and then you can do some red on the inside for a tongue. Well, here's my finished lion. It's just needed another little bit of extra colouring around the edge of his face and on his nose to finish him off, but now he definitely is ready to roar. So if you make a lion, you can take him round and roar at your family, but in a friendly way, of course. Or why not use him to act out the story of Daniel? Or perhaps he's a lion that likes singing, and I know this lion is going to enjoy singing along to the next song, which is all about the life of Daniel. So I hope we'll see you again in another couple of weeks when David's back to tell us more about Daniel. But for me, it's bye for now, and it's a roar from the lion.
Let's meet Daniel, who worked for the Babylonian king. Daniel loved God and he tried to do the right thing. Daniel was a good man and he made the kings glad, but this made the other court officials jealous and mad. Daniel prayed to God 3 times a day, so the officials thought, we'll get him this way. They went to the king, told him to make a decree. It would say no one can pray to any god but me. Just caught him and threw him in the lion's den. This made the king sad and hold the guy